Okay, got it. All right, so website workshop 4. So now we're getting into a new topic, and that's going to be deploying our AWS server. And we're going to be creating our AWS account today. This will be utilizing the free tier. We'll get a little bit more into that when we get to those slides and why we're going to be using the free tier and why we only need the free tier. And then we'll also be connecting to our AWS server using PuTTY. So I believe you guys already have PuTTY downloaded and installed. If not, that's okay. It takes 2 seconds. So during this, and if you're watching this at home, you just pause this. It takes just a minute to download. The links are just above this video. All right, so let's get into it. So table of contents, obviously the introduction, then we're going to be having, just a few slides on creating our AWS accounts, deploying an EC2 is what they call the instance. And I'll have a definition of that in just the next slide. And we're going to be using Linux as the operating system for our server, running the platform version of Ubuntu. And then we're also going to be creating a private key. And when I say SSHing, that's essentially connecting. That SSH is the protocol that enables us to connect into our server. So we're going to be going over that today. A lot of this is a little lengthy with the slides. I believe we have around 30 slides, but it's pretty quick. A lot of these steps are less than a minute. Sometimes they could be 5 seconds, just clicking to the next thing. But the only thing that could be a little lengthy, I want to make sure you guys have the understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it, to be able to deploy this and connect to it. So obviously the introduction, what is AWS? And Amazon Elastic Cloud Computing, or Compute Cloud, is part of Amazon.com's cloud computing platform, AWS, that allows users to rent virtual computers on which to run their own computer applications. So that's what EC2 is. So running on, I believe it's a bare metal virtualization. So there's a computer in Amazon's big cloud network. So they have an actual data center somewhere storing all these, computers, I would say servers. And on this bare metal, when I say bare metal, like the actual, the hardware is running virtualization. And we're going to be using the resources. So there's a few hundred, probably thousands of virtual machines, these virtual computers that are running on one computer in that data center. And an EC2 instance is just one virtual machine that we're going to be using. So creating an AWS account, so we're going to get into this. So you guys can just follow along here on your laptops. So here's the link. You should be able to, it's a pretty easy link to type, so you don't have to go to the slides or anything. There should be that orange button that says get started for free. And you then want to just let me know when you guys have gotten to that second step screen. Good. All right, so I know this is, kind of pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Then you want to click create a new AWS account. I'll take a look at yours. So we have Hannah pulled up on her laptop as well. She's going to go through the process.
I do my mix.
Yeah, so you can do your mix if you want. I mean, if you want to do a personal email, that works too. But since I use my mix for the MISA Club, just because it's the MISA Club website, just because it's kind of part of the university, and we're doing the work for college. After your email address, put in your password. You can put your account names, whatever. You can always change it. So whatever you want. There's 5 steps here, yeah, so it might take a few minutes. I think that's it too.
Oh, yeah, that's not. Why did I put this?
If you're watching this right at home, we're just going through the process of signing up for the account. Now, I do believe, which we could have everyone sign into my account, and we could do that way, or an account that we create, because I just thought about this, because it's been a while since I created one. I know with Amazon, because we're using the free, it is free. I don't think you need a credit card, obviously, with it. You know how there's like free trials work. But if you do and you don't obviously, like if you don't feel comfortable putting your card there, just let me know, and real quick, I can just sign into my account and we could create your instance through that. Security wise, it'll be fine because my servers, and we'll get into that with how security works with the servers and the private key files. Since you don't have my private key and you won't be able to download it, there's no way you could mess with the servers. But sorry about that. I just thought about that because I remember going through the sign up process. Yeah, and it would ask for a credit card. So if you don't feel comfortable, just let me know, and we can just sign into my account and create instances on there. But it's Amazon, so I don't think anything.
It says we will not charge for usage below AWS free tier limits.
Yeah, so we're using the free tier, so you don't have to worry about that. Well, during the recording, we'll just like edit this out, I guess. We remember to edit it out.
Yes, please.
You have like 3 AWS accounts, 3 different cards.
That's like how I feel with my email. Like I've like
Because I try to take
20
advantage of that
different
like
emails.
free,
Yeah.
even though like, because I think Amazon used to do it before where you had a credit, so you'd have like $300 that you could
Oh,
use.
so yeah.
So I would
I'd be
like
using all of
I would
that.
I would exhaust $300 in like
Yeah.
3 months, and I can't create a new account on the card. But now they do it. We have the free tier, so which is great because for our portfolios, we only need the free tier because it's a very cheap server. So I think one time I went above the free tier just to like try it out, and I think it was like $2 for the month, but we won't be charged for this as we were going to be using the free tier. So does anybody want to use my account, or are we all good with our own?
I just don't have like my wallet with me, so
Okay.
I don't like know my card number.
Gotcha. All right, we can sign in. I can sign into my account real quick. We can make it on there, which is fine.
So we just go back to the start.
Yep. Let's go back to the sign up class. Let me back in. It's like a key. As a tool. As you can see, it says the free tier offers do not expire and are available to all of them. And then also, if you want to cancel it right after your font. All right, so I'll keep this. What is your screen look like? What you got it? Are you able to sign in?
Yeah, so
Yep, and then sign in. Yeah. Screen.
it's some of the security checks.
That's good, but
Wait, can I
Definitely.
download Putty on my Mac, or is that?
Yeah.
Do I need something different?
yeah, buddy, there should be a Mac version. Yeah, I forgot because you're gonna
Wait,
be
which
using
one?
Mac today. Wait, don't download. Well, go to Google real quick. Type in Putty. No, don't use that one. Don't use that one. Because there's,
Oh.
putty.org. That's like, yeah, see if that downloads. Okay, so it's the same one. Okay.
Yeah.
MSI, that's Windows. think the tar one is, yeah. I'm trying to, all right, is everyone signed in? Okay. All right, so we got everyone signed in here. So there should be at the top, do you guys see a little drop-down menu that says services? All right, so just click services, and then under all services, you should see EC2. Do you see that? All right, click on that. And do you have a page that looks similar to this come up? All good. All right, so click launch instance. So this is where we're going to be starting to deploy our EC2 server. We all click launch instance, and does it look something similar to this? Is there a bunch of lists of machines that you can see? So do you want to catch up? Are you good? Or
Which one is it?
just root? Oh yeah, sorry. When you're signing in, use root user. So root is basically like admin. You have root access to everything. So we're going to be mainly always using root. Just gonna have Hannah catch up here. So that. Okay, gonna click on services at the top and EC2. Yeah. Then click launch instance.
Where?
Orange button down.
Oh.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you guys see the Amazon Linux 2, the Mac OS, right? That's like the two big ones you see. In the search bar, type in Ubuntu. Notice this is best quality projector.
Do you want me to share this instead? And we can work through it like that? That'd be easier. Do you want to try it?
could. They're already 520 or no 515 because that'll take a little. I think we're good. I think we're fine because I'll be able to see it. For that. All right, so we all typed in Ubuntu, and you see at the top the one. Here we go. So do you see it's Ubuntu server 20.04? You guys all see that? All right, so that's just the version of Ubuntu we're going to be using. So the latest version being version 20.04, and we're going to hit select, and you all should see, as you see, free tier eligible. That's the one we want. It should be automatically selected there. Real quick, so when the type being micro, as you can see, there's small, medium, large, extra large, double XL. And you can see that those types kind of go hand in hand with how many CPUs are there that they're going to be using and what the memory is going to be like in gigabytes. So we're going to be using, I believe, so obviously it's one virtual CPU, and then memory, we're only going to be using 1 gig. Now for our portfolios, this is really all we need because there's only going to be a few people, at most on your site. Most likely there's only going to be ever 1 or 2 on your portfolio. So that's why we're going to be using the free tier. We don't need anything larger because the other tiers, once you go past that free tier, are going to start costing you. They're not crazy, but again, we're doing this part for free, which is good, and that's all we need. After that, you can technically here click review and launch, but we're going to hit configure instance details because we want to configure it a little bit more. And so this is kind of like a bunch of little nitty-gritty stuff that we're not going to get into right now because we just simply don't need to, and we also don't have the time. But most of the stuff for what we're doing is not stuff we're going to need to know. So we're just going to hit next, add storage. And none of our websites are probably exceeding 8 gigabytes of data going through or being stored onto the website. So we can hit add tags. I told you these slides are going to be just quick and short, but I wanted to make sure we document every process of what we're clicking on. So now you should see this. Are we all caught up? We're all good on this. All right. So tags are pretty important because it's just a little bit, it helps with organization a lot. So I want everyone to add a tag, and we're going to call this, so the key is going to be called name, capital M. And it is case sensitive, so make sure you have that N capitalized. And then the value is just going to be the name of what you want to call your instance. So if you want to call it web server, as you can see, we have portfolio server here. You can call it your name and then server, whatever you want. And then leave all the 3 check marks checked in. This is just easier. I know right now we're only dealing with 1 server and 1 instance, so it's not that big of a deal, but just for good practice for organization, if you start deploying more servers, it's a lot easier to see name portfolio server than, let's say, if you have a game server or a different web server. It's very important for organization. All right, so the next step is configure security group. So I definitely want to talk about this. Security is obviously a big thing when it comes to websites. Not that I don't think anybody's going to be attacking our websites, and also there's not really any sensitive information that are going to be on these sites. So it's not that big of a deal. But again, we're here to learn too. So best practices is always good. So we want to hit create a new security group, and that's most likely already selected. Security group name, I named my portfolio. You can name yours whatever you want. Again, you can leave it the default, but for best practice for organization, you can name it what you want. Description, I just put portfolio security group. You can put the same thing, or you can put something different. And now when we see here all these different, on your screen, you only see SSH, right? So SSH, like I was talking about before, that's how we're going to be enabling us to be, or enable us to connect into the server. So the big thing here, so SSH is always on port 22. So you can't change that. And it doesn't actually, I don't think it lets you change that. Same with HTTP, it's always port 80. HTTPS is always port 443. And then we're going to add a custom port TCP rule, and that's going to be port 21. I'll explain these in just a second here. And so that custom port at the bottom there is for FTP, so file transfer protocol. So the importance of file transfer protocol is going to allow us to be able to connect. Remember that FileZilla that I wanted you guys to download? So FileZilla is a program that lets us install, transfer files from our local machine, your laptops here, to our web server. And you need to have that port open, that connection port open. So port 21, it's either port 21 or I believe 22. I want to say it's 21, but also maybe 22. We can always come back and edit this. So it's not that big of a deal if we just have to open up the port. So we're going to keep it on port 21 right now. And then port 22, like I said, is SSH. HTTP is always 80. Right now, we're going to be dealing with HTTP because we're not utilizing HTTPS yet because we don't have. That's for our last topic with what I talked briefly before in the introduction of these is the SSL certificates. Like I said, at the top of the page, you'll see the little lock icon in your address bar. That means the website is certified and that they are, known to be a secure website. So that's the protocol HTTPS. So it's just an S at the end for secure. So HTTP and HTTPS are essentially the same thing, but the HTTPS is the secure one. We're not going to be using that now, but we're still going to open it for when we do have to use it in the next session. Now, a big thing here, why I labeled this important, is the source. We want to put this on my IP. If you see, you can obviously put it custom, but so the IP you're connected to is obviously WVU's internet right now, so the encrypted IP. So I would switch those all right now to my IP. Now, let's say you were to go home and you're going to be on your network and you're going to connect into this server. It won't allow you because you're not on this IP that we're stating here. But we're allowed to sign into our AWS account from anywhere, so we can change this. So when you get home, if you need to connect back into it, and I can show you guys where you configure the security group, all you have to do is just change it to, again, your my IP, and it will refresh. But there's no need outside of today that you guys are going to probably be connecting into your server. This would be something when we get to working with the server, transferring the file. So for today, just put my IP just for security reasons, because if you put it on all, that means that anybody is going to be able to connect into your server through these ports, and you don't want that. That's a security risk. And then you can obviously give them descriptions. So I put web server and secured web server and FTP for file transfer and SSH.
What's our cache number?
Oh, so for my IP, so that would, so don't copy that one. So if you click my IP, it should automatically fill it in. Does it automatically fill it in? Yeah, the drop down. So you got that now. So that's the IP address of wherever this router or switch that we're connected to right now, or yeah, access point that we're connected to right now. So that means if, let's say, someone right now was on an IP of 153 dot blah 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 dot blah blah blah, they're not gonna be able to connect in because it's not matching this IP here. All right, and then we're gonna click review and launch. Okay, so you see this. And this is just kind of like a review of all what we did and what we changed. We obviously don't need to look at this too much because we just went through it. But now we can hit the blue launch button at the bottom right corner. Okay, so this is going to come up. Don't close out of this because this is important. So how you connect to your server with AWS is private keys. This is their security feature. Although some may think it's redundant or annoying, I think it's definitely a good way of doing security. So normally with some servers, you can just connect when you SSH, right? When you securely connect to the server, what we were talking about, our computer, and we connect it to the server with PuTTY, which we'll see that in a few slides. It'll ask you for a username and password, and then, or it'll ask you for a username, and you type in the username. And this is without doing it AWS's way. So normally when you connect to a server, it'll ask you for your username and password. You'll provide those, and then you're connected into the server. Now, what AWS does, which is different than that, is they use these private keys where you will create a new key pair specifically for the server. And it says here, key pair consists of a public key that AWS stores and a private key file that you store. So AWS will have this key stored on their system somewhere, and then we will get the private key file that we store. So in order to connect to your server, you need this key. If you lose this key, like I put in bold here, you cannot connect to your server and you can't download it again. You can make copies of the key. So it'll save as a file on your desktop. You'll see here in a few slides. You can copy it if you want to make multiple of them. Again, you have to kind of see, no one's going to be breaching or getting onto our laptops and probably like really actually trying to hack into the thing. But again, best practice, I wouldn't make like 1 million copies and put them everywhere, and don't put the keys like on the internet. But so if you want to host one, like the best practice would maybe, and this may be wrong, but maybe putting on like a USB, but you don't have to do all that. Just say maybe your Windows crashes and you have to do a backup and then the key's not on there and now you lost the key, you can't connect. So I would just make 2 copies, and this probably isn't the best to do, but maybe email it to like through Mix. I don't think obviously anybody's going to be hacking Gmail anytime soon. I mean, that's always a possibility, but to find your specific portfolio key, I don't think nobody's really going to want that. There's no confidential information. That's just, a thing that we want to do. So just in case you do lose it, if it's not the end of the world if you do lose it, we can always get a new server. So make sure to download the key pair, put it somewhere that you want. So the key pair name, you can just I made mine web key. You can make yours portfolio, whatever. Make sure RSA is selected and create a new key pair is selected. And I believe, so RSA is just the encryption type. We're not going to get into encryption, but that's just the encryption type of the key. And then hit download key pair. Once you're done that, you should see that it comes up. If you're using Chrome, it'll come up at the bottom. Other browsers might be at the top.
Wait, did you not do the name?
Yeah, put a name. Make sure to put a name. You have to put a name. You put a name at web key.
Oh.
And then download key pair. Yep, it'll come at the bottom. You put it on your don't open it.
No.
Hit cancel. Because it's nothing you need to really open. Find where you download, where your downloads go. If you want for today, you should put on your, and if it's faster, put on your desktop or just a file. I would just drag it to your desktop for now. Okay. Let me know when you guys all have it downloaded in a secure location. I think I go actually over that in a few slides. We all got it downloaded. All right, cool. So we want to click, then we want to click launch instance. Now, so we all got this screen.
Mine says failed because I just named a portfolio and yours probably says portfolio. So I can.
So go back to the name.
I named the other stuff different. I guess not that.
Okay, so just hit edit security groups to the right. Now, yeah, and change it to portfolio. Put your name after it. It's the same. I mean, I use this, so.
The key be the same. I'll leave it down there.
Is it asking you for another key? It should be the same.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Okay, so then you guys can click view instance now. All right, so we officially now have our server running and deployed. And now we can click on the instance ID link there. As you see, it's blue. And you'll see something that looks similar to this. It's since it is so blurry, it's hard to, you might be a little bit harder, but you guys obviously see it on your screen. I'll just briefly go over this because we're running out of time a little bit, but let's see here. All right, so the public IPv4 address, so that's the public address. So right now, if someone were to type that into their web browser, we were not running a web server right now, so it wouldn't connect to anything, but that's essentially quotation marks like the domain of your website. So once we do have the web server launched and set up with Apache 2, then you can type that into your browser and you'll see your portfolio come up. So that's what the IP of your website is, right? And then we have here that public IPv4 DNS is just a domain name that Amazon made for your instance. That's why it's like EC2 and then the ID US East, which US East is where this server is being hosted right now. So somewhere on the East Coast here. Again, that's not so important. Instance type, it just tells you that it's a micro instance. And then we have a few details at the bottom. You can see the platform. It says that it's running on Ubuntu, and the platform, it's running Linux with the platform as Ubuntu, and just the launch time. Most of this stuff is just kind of description of the server and what's it doing. The instance state, it says that it's running, which that means that the server is running, it's online. Sometimes it could say that it's restarting or it's stopped. So if you stop the server, it'll say stopped. Restarting means it's just booting back up. So that's just a brief overview of that. Now, this is where we're going to get into connecting into our server. So we want to go to connect at the top. Now, is everybody at this second screen that you should see here? And it's cut off a little bit, but it says EC2 Instance Connect. Let's see. So scroll up. Oh wait, sorry. To the right, connect. Oh, it's still launching up. Here, go back to instances. Is yours up? Yeah, here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then hit connect. Okay, cool. All right. So username. So I named mine MISA portfolio, but I think we're gonna keep it as Ubuntu for you guys. For some reason, so when I named it, there's no like save option. When I have to hit connect, it doesn't save it as MISA portfolio. So, but Ubuntu is fine. So we're just gonna keep it as Ubuntu. And then now, so we have that. Okay, yeah. So Putty. So when you download Putty, it comes with two programs. It comes with Putty and it comes with Putty Gen. So in order to connect using Putty, we need to use the Putty key generator, as you guys see here. And that key that we downloaded, it generates the file that we downloaded into a readable file that Putty can read to connect. So you'll see as we go through this process of what we're doing. So on your computer, type in Putty Gen and it should come up. Not actual Putty, it's going to be the Putty Gen program. And here's did you install Putty yet?
It just did that.
It just did that. There should be an installer inside of it, I think. Is that the one on unzip? Do you guys have Putty Gen open?
Yeah.
Okay. Try to hit open. Let's see what happens.
It's Mac for anything.
Okay, it's fine. We'll do that later. We'll figure it out later because I got to go in a few minutes. But okay, so we have this open. So it looks like that. We want to click load, and then see where it's the drop down where I'm pointing the arrows right there. It should say Putty private key file.ppk. Change that to all files. You get it to all files yet? Okay. And then you're gonna find where you save that key that we had downloaded. And you want to click it and it should fill out the file name at the bottom. It should say .pem. You got it. You got it selected. You have it selected?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. That came up. Yep. All right. So that little message will come up after clicking open. So successfully imported. We all got that message, right? Okay. And then we want to do is we want to click save private key. And it says, are you sure you want to save this key without a passphrase? Protect it. Yes. And then you want to, so the save as type, everyone has .ppk, right? That Putty private key. So what we did there is what Putty Gen does is takes that .pem key and converts it to a readable file that Putty can read to connect to the server. So their extension is .ppk. So save it. Again, you can save it in the same place. Keep it the same name too. So don't change the name of it and click save. And do we have it all saved? Okay. All right, so now we're gonna open up Putty. Not Putty Gen. And tell me when you guys have Putty open. We're all good, we have it open? All right, so we're gonna click on the plus sign next to SSH in the categories. And then we're gonna click on off. Are we all on this second screen here, the off screen? Do you see all that? And then click browse where it says private key for authentication. Now you guys can kind of see that we're putting this key into PuTTY so it can read it. And it should look something similar like this when you click browse. You need help? You got it? Okay. And then click open. So make sure it's the .ppk one, not the .pem one. So make sure it has that little computer icon with the hat on it. And we all clicked open. Are we ready for the next step? Okay. So see we're now on the side. Do you see data under connection? Yeah. Okay. We all got data. Data out there. Yeah. Okay. And then, so the auto login username, so it's the same, that username that we just showed in previous slides. So it'll be Ubuntu. And did everyone type in Ubuntu into auto? Okay. And then now we're going to go back up to session all the way at the top. And you should see this screen. You guys all see this? Okay. So now go back to AWS and you should see, do you see the tab 2 over from EC2 Instance Connect that says SSH client? Click that. And then you want to click that little button next to the number 4, right? You see step 4. If you click those 2 squares, it'll copy. This is that public DNS. This is the IP to the server that we're connecting to our instance. So we're going to copy that. You guys got all that copied? And we're going to paste it into that host name or IP address. Okay, and then make sure these are all the same. So port 22, SSH. And what you want to do now is under save sessions, name it something that you want. So you can name it portfolio. Okay, you guys got that named? All right, and click save. All right, and then you guys all have, is it still filled out after you click save?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we should be able to click open. And does this prompt come up, the security alert? All right, click yes on it. And now, does your terminals look similar to this? All right, I just want to double check. All right, awesome. So, let's see. All right, so as you can see, this IP that we're connected to is that public DNS IP that I showed you back on your instance detail screen. Which was too far. This one, see that public IPv4? I know it's really blurry on this, but that's now we're connected into the server. So now we are in our Ubuntu machine, and next session we'll be focused on setting up our Apache 2, which is a program that allows us to install our web server, or it runs the web server. And then we'll be able to transfer our portfolio / website files that you guys created onto the server. And we'll be able to have our server or our website up and running to the internet. So I know I had to breeze through that. So there may have been a few things that I missed that I can explain. Do we have any quick questions?
Do you need to download that Apache or stop?
No, so that terminal that you see here, so everything that we're going to be doing on the server is going to be straight through this terminal. So there's going to be a lot of commands. The next session, we're probably going to have to drag it out to 2 sessions again, just because there's a lot of again, it's similar with this one. There are a lot of steps that you have to follow. But I also want to give some time to explain what we're doing. So it's, but if you want to reinforce your knowledge, if you want to, make another server and go through this again, the slides are up on the website. and the recording will be up tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, so now we're halfway there for the connection topic. We deployed our server. It's really simple, and we got it running, and we got it connected to it. Make sure to save those keys, and if you want to take a look at this, you can see like the usage of how much storage is only 7.69 gigabytes, so the 8 gigabytes that are used, and that's it. I have to run. But if you guys have any questions, we're all in. Well, I don't think we invited you to the group meeting yet. Can you get him in, because you're in here with us? Yeah, that's fine. You just get him in the group meet. And then Lucas, your website thing, I'm gonna work on it tonight or tomorrow. I just haven't had time over the weekend and stuff. Yeah, and again, if your portfolio isn't fully built out yet, we'll definitely have time to finish them up. It's not like it needed to be done by this topic. So thanks for coming out again, guys, and we'll be here. So next Tuesday, same time, 5 p.m. and we'll get into setting up the actual web server and getting our files on there. I know it's a little boring stuff, like looking at that stuff. There's not so much creativity, but it's really important. We'll understand that. If you guys have any questions and you can't think of them now, you can hit me up in the group meet or for next session. Because if there's, like I said, I kind of breezed through this, but yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go to this event.
Yeah,
I'm hosting. So.
good luck.